beat you to the first word.
Okay, well, I'm cool with change. Speaking of change, there's change now on this show with our new interns, PK Fresh and That Asian. And there's also change going on around the world around us. Yes, I'm talking about the war between the states, as Rocky and Bullwinkle stated.
Hey, that's not that catchy. We should name it something cooler.
It's a war. It doesn't really need to be a catchy name.
Well, civilians are in the army, so we should call it the Civil War.
Psh, like that'll ever catch on. So anyways, this is a defining point of history, not only for America, but for the rest of the world, too.
How so?
Well, we'll find out right after a word from our sponsors. Dr. Pick, our sponsors, please.
Hi, my name is Colonel Sandler, not to be confused with that KFC guy. And if I got some weapons for you, that is a rhetorical question. Yeah. Well, anyways, you know them sword things? Well, guess what? We put them on the end of the gun. So, cause why not? Anyway, and also, we got them brand new machine gun thingamajigs. Now, and those are pretty cool, right? Yeah. So come on down and buy my stuff. You'll be my next demonstration.
And we're back. Yes, it looks like our writer is running out of ideas and funny things. I'll have to change that later. Anyways, so the South seceded. Not seceded. Or succeeded. You all... I'm getting intel that nobody really knows why they seceded. Okay, Shaggy, you take hold of this. My lines have already been written.
Yes, well, apart from obvious differences in the South and Northern ideals, well, wow, that was a really educated sentence. One big thing really fired the South up, but we'll get to that in a minute. I guess it's all kind of started in 1850 with the, who would have guessed it, the Compromise of 1850. See, when they passed the Compromise, the North would have more free states than enslaved states, so the South flipped out thinking they would have to start to make slavery illegal and everything. Don't get me wrong, it is now, but it seems like if they had just done anything except stand on their idea, then we'd still have it. And it's good that they didn't, of course. The next thing Congress did that pissed off the South was the Fugitive Slave Act. And it was...
You okay?
No, these things are so long. It said that whosoever holds the hammer if he be worthy shall possess the power of Thor. I'm kidding. I wish it had said that. Would have made things a lot easier. No, it basically said that if you crossed the Mason-Dixon line, your slaveholders couldn't keep you. This is the time that the Underground Railroad was developed, even though, opposed to popular belief, it's not an actual railroad.
Speaking of railroads, the Transcontinental Railroad was being built in this time, and the Gadsden Purchase was, well, purchased for $10 million. Yeah, lots of money we still do not have.
True that. The next big thing was Bleeding Kansas. In 1856, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, even though it defied the Missouri Compromise because it didn't go with popular sovereignty, was passed. A huge fight in Kansas broke out because the pro-slaves and anti-slaves, it became known as, you guessed it, Bleeding Kansas. This act destroyed the once big Whig Party, probably named so because of the stupid wigs they wore back then. And in July of 1854, the Republican Party was formed. They were okay with slavery as long as they didn't have any in the North. Then there was the Dred Scott versus Stanford case in which he was freed by his masters, but then called back to be enslaved again. He naturally declined the offer, but instead wound up having to go to court to find out what would happen to his life. They wound up saying that the Missouri Compromise wasn't part of the Constitution before he didn't have citizenship, so he lost.
Then Lincoln got involved with the president at the time, James Buchanan, no relation to Tom Buchanan, and tried to make Kansas a slave state. Yeah, that didn't quite work, because Lincoln was awesome. So, Shaggy, I'm going to give you a break from talking so you don't die, and let our interns handle this next subject. PK Fresh and That Asian, to you.
John Brown's raid for the whole South. Yes, the South. John Brown raided an arsenal of Harper's Ferry in Virginia on October 16th, 1859. Yes, they were captured and he was hung on December 2nd, 1859.
Merry Christmas.
The South feared an African-American uprising, and when Lincoln was elected in 1860, South Carolina succeeded. And on February 8th, 1861, the Confederacy was formed, and this, my dear listeners, is why the South seceded. Yeah, that's right. This episode is titled The Civil War, not the superhero one. And we haven't even started the Civil War part of it. Okay, and then Anakin, go ahead.
Gladly. You all know that bad man named Robert E. Lee, yes? Well, he opposed slavery, but since he was from Virginia, he thought, hey, these guys are, going for something I don't like. Well, I grew up with them, so who cares? Also, 1/3 of the Union's officers followed him. They had a strong military background, still do too, and 7 out of 8 military colleges. So we were in pretty bad shape from the get-go. But the Union had a bad Navy. Not like Man of Steel bad, but like Batman the Dark Knight bad. The Union also had 3/4 of the Navy's officers too. Their population was twice as large as the Confederacy and had a big industry for making guns, ammos, and clothes. Wow, I'm already tired of talking. Okay, next on the list. Legal Tender Act. Basically had nothing to do with chicken. It was the act to make paper money representing the silver and gold that everyone's always used. The Confederacy created this because the Union had blockaded them and in order to raise money for their war efforts. And now on to our interns again for some politics.
War Democrats like the war. The Peace Democrats said the war was bad. Yeah, this boring stuff is confusing, isn't it? The Peace Democrats were also called Copperheads because they were supposed to be like venomous snakes or something. I don't know. I don't really care. I would just beat the shit out of them.
Order up some number 2.
Lovely. So, as you can tell, the Confederacy needed help. They asked Britain to help, but they were like, guys, we're still getting over the last couple of defeats from America, so we'll wait and see if you guys even have a chance at all. They Morse coded that to the Confederacy, which took approximately 4 hours for them to intercept. Only people who know Morse code would understand why that's funny.
But Britain almost did go to war because of the Trent Affair, right?
Yes, indeed they did. See, the Union intercepted the British ship taking the crew captive, but it was an enemy ship, or thinking it was an enemy ship, so you can see the problem there. So the first actual battle happened. The Battle of Bull Run, which was led by Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson, led to a lot of bloodshed on both sides, and because of that, not as many people wanted to sign up. So in the Confederacy, they had to introduce conscription in April 1862, the same year that the Union captured New Orleans. The Union, however, just offered a bounty for people who stayed for 3 years. Pretty smart. Then in July 1862, Lincoln was given the power to call states militias by the Militia Act. See, isn't it getting so much easier to remember once we got to America? This is where we meet Ulysses S. Grant, the best general at the time, who began to launch his campaign to get the Cumberland and Tennessee River. He led the Battle of Shiloh, where the Union won, yes, but 20,000 people died in the Union alone. Yeah, not too many people liked him after that, but Lincoln kept him as a leader, thankfully. So after the Battle of Bull Run, George B. McClellan took over. He was attacked by Joseph E. Johnson, who was replaced by Robert E. Lee to strike even more blows at McClellan's troops. This became known as the 7 Days Battle. McClellan withdrew, but Lee followed him 20 miles from Washington, the capital. The second Battle of Bull Run, not known simply as the Battle of Bull Run II, Winter Soldier, was fought.
Yeah, it's not so easy, is it? I'll help you a little. There were some food shortages in the Confederacy, but in the North, women started doing the work in factories, which is why they didn't stop making stuff during the war. The 54th Massachusetts was our first African-American regiment, led by Ferris Bueller. I mean Colonel Shaw. So let's join Birdman for our in-depth look at the food in the military during this time.
Yes, as you can see, all the food they had came from places like these, a school cafeteria, where disgusting and sometimes moving food was all they had. Though sometimes they could do what Michelle Obama does best and put some salt on it, but we all know how that helped. Thankfully, there were people like Elizabeth Blackwell, the first physician, and Clara Barton to help.
And we're done.
Oh, great. I can go home.
Oh, SpongeBob, why?
That's actually kind of funny. Yeah, so a bit after the 54th Massachusetts was started, the Confederacy put a little memo that they would just re-enslave African-American prisoners. Well, or just execute them. Depended on the time of day, I guess. On July 1st, 1863, the Union was pushed out of Gettysburg. On the second Lee attack, the Confederacy lost, but so did everyone in this circumstance. The Union lost 23,000 people, and the Confederacy lost a third of their army, 28,000. It was a turning point in the war, but just a depressing day. So the Confederacy surrendered at Fort Vicksburg on July 4th, 1863. The Union wanted it because it gave access to the Mississippi, so happy 4th of July. Even though that's Independence Day, you're fighting over something like racial equality. Congrats. Sorry about that. That just kind of irritates me for some reason. Oh yes, highlight of the war, the Gettysburg Address, the most famous speech in America at least. So next battle was the Battle of Chattanooga, which took place on Lookout Mountain. I've been there. It's pretty awesome. Then Missionary Ridge was surprised, and the Confederates lost it. Chattanooga was the first in the Union's possession. They were getting closer to Atlanta. On August 5th, 1864, David Farragut took Mobile, Alabama. This was the last major port in the Gulf of Mexico. Then Sherman cut railroad lines to Atlanta, which was burned down. Let's see, and all that good stuff happened. So, what is the weather like, Dr. Pitka?
Well, it's a lot of soot here. And here's myself in a previous life explaining it all to you. Huh? What's that? Oh, I've just been informed that we do not have that footage, but it's a lot of soot and a lot of metal stuff. So, yeah. What's that? Oh, okay. I've just been informed that we do have the footage. Roll clip.
It's soot mixed with snow.
But why?
It's the Fire Nation. They've closed in on the North Pole. And from the looks of this stuff, I'd say there's a lot of them.
Next, I believe, is the March to the Sea, which started on November 15th and ended on December 21st, 1864. They just kind of went through Georgia, burning everything, and I believe it was 12 cities in total. How many was it, PK Fresh?
Yeah, I'm just macking it up with this girl. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. What was the question?
10 out of 10 would be.
How many cities were burned during... Is that a phone?
No.
Put it up! That's seriously breaking the fourth wall!
My bad. I don't understand what the rules are. How will we break it sometimes and not care, but other times we can't?
I also have that question.
You shut your gosh darn mouth, Lenny.
See? You shouldn't even know what that is. You shouldn't even be aware that you know what that is.
Hey, everyone, shut up. We're almost done. Jeez. Okay, anyways, let me continue with the 13th Amendment was finally passed on January 31st, 1865, and on April 9th, 1865, Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant at the Appomattox Courthouse. The Civil War ended. It's all smooth sailing from now on. Well, 5 days later, on April 14th, John Wilkes Booth shot President Lincoln in the back of the head at Ford's Theater. In the end, it's just a theory. A game theory. No, that's wrong show. Okay, let me start over. In the end of the Union, they got a stronger hold on the federal government, and it strengthened everything. But was it really worth it? That's the question.
This has been Shaggy.
And PK Fresh.
And that Asian.
And Dr. Pitka.
No! That's our thing. Stop it! And Anakin, signing off on the station of everything this person does in school. See you guys later!